How's Bobby? Miss you both so much. I'm heading out on another secret mission. Want to come see you, but I need to keep fighting. Everything I do is to protect you.
Dad, we're back.
Come here. Keep your eyes open. The game is called Get in the Car as Fast as Humanly Possible. You gonna let him beat you?
I would love to know kind of just what inspired the story as you co-wrote it as well. What inspired it? You know, what were you thinking about?
So the original script was written something like 10 years ago, which is kind of strange because it's even more prescient and, you know, has even more resonances now, of course, with this like invisible threat affecting the population. And the thing that, I mean, I read it a couple of years ago, and the thing that I identified with was this family dynamic. It was this relationship between a father and his two kids, and how it was just like a really tender study of this coming of age moment that the three of them, you know, went through. And I felt like there was something really truthful and universal in that. And it had all these genre elements, and it was told on this really big epic canvas, but I just found it a very poignant story, and it's so rare that you find a script that's very personal and very delicate and tender, but is also really ambitious in terms of scale. But it was really like an emotional connection that drew me to the material first.
Yeah. Janina.
Pia. Hi. Did anybody notice that my character's name was Pia in this movie? Michael was kind enough to let us rename our characters and make them a little bit more accurate to who we would probably be. And I named my character after this actual woman right there, Pia. The community is very close and very strong and supportive. And I just love that the first thing we see is like you and your bad self. You like walk up, like, it's like Pia just emblazoned on the heart. It's great. I like it. Okay, continue with the very serious panel.
If anybody told me that my 2021 bingo card would involve Riz Ahmed with my name tattooed on his chest, I probably would have said, get out of here. Right?
Still got it.
I have to say that was an insane moment for me. The name Pia is not in Hollywood movies, and I love movies, and I've never seen that. So when Janina told me, I still don't know how to feel about this, but I am so...
Just feel good, it's okay.
I'm also really happy that she didn't die from a parasite. So there's that. But yeah, this when we talk about representation as a South Asian woman, I have to say, oh yeah, representation is really important. This woman literally like put my name in a movie, and so that is, you know, can't get over that, which is incredible. But anyways, what I did want to ask. Sorry?
No.
Oh, I know. I do owe her. You're right. We'll figure this out. I'm sure there'll be some payment involved in some way. Probably with donuts, but it's fine. So, Janina, I'd love to ask you, when you came on, how did you and Riz talk about this family and how you wanted to portray them?
Great question. Well, we first talked about how we met and really built that kind of story, and then at some point we're like, do you want to name our babies? And we made sure that those names reflected the names that we would probably name our children, and we didn't have to actually change them too much. I think they were originally Jack and Bobby, and we just changed them to Jay. Yeah, and
then we changed it to Jay and Bobby.
Yeah.
Did you get to pick which one you would be, Aditya?
No.
Oh, okay. You were just going to Bobby. Would you rather have been Jay?
I thought it was a nice name.
I think so.
Yeah,
I like
it's a great name. Yeah.
I actually asked Alexa, hey Alexa, what does Bobby mean? And I figured out that Bobby means policeman. So
Bobby.
British slang. Bobby is a policeman.
Yeah.
That's a really great point. Did
that's
that influence how you played the character?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel like you were very policeman, but in a good way. I don't think you were like a policeman, so that was good. Miss Octavia Spencer, hello.
Hello.
So I really, really loved how Hattie here is, you know, the character who just maintains belief in Malik all throughout, and even as the audience learns more about him, your character is adamant that you wanted to believe in him. Tell me a little bit about how you connected to her, and if there was any research involved in the kind of work that she was doing, and why you felt like your character felt that connection.
There's always research in every character that you play, because someone else's life and lived experience is usually different from your own. And Michael had already given me a lot of stuff that he wanted me to take into account as I, broke the character down. But for me, after I did all of that and just tried to map out the character's arc, I saw her as a strong woman who had likely been dismissed in her workplace a lot, who was working with criminals who would often be dismissed in the world because they had that label. And she, administered tough love. And if you responded to that, the way I'm sure she felt that Malik responded to that, then she, reciprocated in kind and wanted to have you to, reinvent yourself and present a better face to society. And that's what she wanted for Malik. But when he made that turn to kidnap his boys, she knew she had to intervene to get him to come home and to make sure he wasn't shot on sight,
Yeah. Riz, I'd love to ask you a little bit about, what drew you immediately to Malik, and, his story is such a fascinating one. He goes through a very deep mental journey in this. Which parts of that did you feel like you were compelled by, and then what kind of research did you have to go off and do about that as well?
I mean, initially what attracted me to this film was Michael Pearce. I believe he's one of our great emerging filmmakers, and I think he's going to be here for a very long time.
I agree. I like that.
For anyone it's very unusual to see a script or a story that tries to bridge all these different tones. You've got that action, that sci-fi kind of element, but it's a family story, it's heartwarming. You've got these guys cracking jokes in it. You've got the whole gamut of emotions, You've got the whole thing in there. And also, I found it scary, the idea of playing a dad. I was like, these guys are going to laugh at me because I don't know how to be a dad. They're going to be like, that's not how you do it. Idiot. So
did they?
Well, yeah. That's also probably what the character Malik is thinking.
Right.
Like, I'm an imposter. I don't know how to be a dad. I haven't seen my kids for years. So when I realized there's that overlap between what you're thinking, what the character's thinking, even if it's a scary thought, that's the kind of way in. Is it working? No, these don't work.
Working.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's working.
There we go.
Let me check.
Go on.
There we go. It's working. So yeah.
So that's what attracted me to the role, was cool character, awesome filmmaker, badass kids.
I mean, really, that's the perfect formula, I think, right? So, Michael, you make this very interesting decision.
You didn't ask a detailed question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sorry. There was a reason where we were going to go into the perspectives, but you were right. I'm going to come. Okay, you know what?
He's ready.
Aditya?
He's ready. Trust me.
All right.
He's always
ready. Okay.
No, the mic isn't working.
It's working.
It's
We can hear
not
you.
loud.
Yeah.
Okay, Aditya.
The people came here for him.
It's
This is
true.
actually true.
So-
This is actually Aditya. I would love to know your character. Actually, you kind of go along for the ride initially, but then you and your brother, you start to figure things out. And I just want to know, kind of, how did you and River talk about your relationship as brothers, and how did you two bond as brothers?
I mean,
Talking to your mic.
we knew each other before we met at Michael's place.
Okay.
So we actually bonded during a chemistry read. So
Uh-huh.
we actually learned that we both love Beyblades, which are these like spinning tops that we both love. I mean, it's a whole different universe. We also actually taught Michael and Riz how to play.
Oh.
They're obsessed with Beyblades, yeah.
Were you able to play with them on set? And not
I
really,
mean,
Michael.
not really, because we didn't
Michael.
have much time.
Sorry.
Focus. Keep them
We
focused.
did love, like, we did love making up songs. We bonded, like me and Riz bonded because we would start to make up songs together, and Riz would just hop in.
Riz just got involved in that, trying
We
to
just
take
started a
over.
band, really.
Okay.
Three Musketeers, yeah.
Look out for the album, 2023.
2023, okay.
The album,
Got a year.
Three Musketeers are gonna be released.
I'm excited. Riz, you and I were excited. This is, you know, we can't do sweatshop boys
Riz
anymore.
Ahmed.
So, Michael, I feel like you sort of kept the perspective. See, I feel like I can't even ask serious questions anymore. I want to know more about Beyblades. You kept the audience on Malik's perspective for a good chunk of this before we really realized what was going on. What was what was behind that decision to follow that and really show how he was seeing things?
It came from just wanting to be very compassionate towards a character, because in some ways you could make, this film from one perspective is about a mentally unwell man that kidnaps his children for the weekend, and then he's hunted by law enforcement.
Right.
And if I told a really objective study of that, it could have just distanced you from the character. And all the research that I did around people that were experiencing psychosis in its different forms was that, of course, they don't see themselves as mentally unwell. They're in some kind of magical fantasy world, and sometimes it's nightmarish and sometimes it's exhilarating. And I thought, well, genre is a tool to get inside that character's head, and it will get the audience inside that character's head. And then when you start to follow Octavia's character and you realise that's not the whole truth, you still have the knowledge of that first half an hour of, you comprehend why he's doing it and what's motivating him.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't seen that done before in film. Usually you're very aware when someone's mentally unwell, and it seems very, they seem to, behaviourally to really exhibit a lot of signs that they're unwell. And I just thought there's a way to be more empathetic to what they're experiencing. So that's what it came from.
I think that was an incredible choice, actually, because we did feel like we were really seeing the things he was experiencing, and so you were on that journey. You did believe he was saving his boys, and that felt very compelling. Riz, for you, playing a Marine combat veteran as well, what was that experience like? Getting into that mindset, and what did you sort of learn about that experience that you wanted to bring to your character?
Oh man, there's a lot I could say about this. It was really fascinating and short. I think one of the things I love most about this job is the people you get to meet, and where you get to get a glimpse of different people's lives and experiences. So I always love to interview people, meet up with, in this case, lots of US Special Forces veterans or active servicemen, and record them, and record these really long conversations. And I listen to that a lot, so I can imagine myself into their stories, or sometimes it forms the basis of an accent. And what was interesting for me was, I never wouldn't necessarily think of myself as playing a role like this for many different reasons, but I guess something I realized is a lot of the people out there fighting these wars, they're not fighting really for a flag or an ideology, they're fighting for the persons to their left and to their right. They're fighting for a sense of family.
Yeah.
And what I also found is, not to generalize, but many of the people I spoke to, went through a lot of damage and were carrying a lot of scars from their early life, and so that sense of belonging and family was something they found in the armed forces. But of course the irony is, in their service, they come back with even more damage and scars. And so that really kind of expanded my empathy and challenged some of my assumptions about what character like Malik or someone in that profession would really be motivated by.
Makes sense. Aditya, what Beyblade should I be investing in right now? I'm kidding. What was your favorite scene to film in this film?
I mean, I don't really have one. I have multiple things.
Okay, what was the one that was like maybe the most challenging for you? Because you did do a lot of running around.
Yeah.
You did a lot of physical stuff here. So was there one that was particularly difficult?
I think the Action Man scene, like when I drop my toy, because I would never do that to my real toys.
To really reach down for that.
So we were not getting the feeling. So Michael got like all the Beyblades I had that he knew I had beforehand. And then he put them in like Riz's backpack. And then off camera, Riz just started chucking them out of the window. Bang, 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 bang.
You sacrificed the Beyblades?
They were doubles. We bought them.
And then we still didn't get the emotion. But I did have a face to Riz that meant I'm gonna kill you.
This is how you get it.
But it was also really challenging because I had to run in black lava.
Right.
And
that
it
looked
was like really challenging because I had knee pads.
Right.
Our stuntman Al, like we had to put knee pads on my knees, so I would be protected when I fell.
Yeah.
And then it was just.
I mean, listen, you made it really convincing. Truly, you did an incredible job in that scene.
We love him.
I was worried about you in that scene. I was worried about him. Which you did a great, and I can't believe they used Beyblades to try and elicit emotion out of you.
It's
It's
like
insane.
Riz just took one of my favorite Beyblades, the double of my favorite Beyblade, and this was like bang, 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 bang. It was so.
This is his villain. This is his villain origin
You know what the
story
thing
now.
is,
So.
we thought we could get him to be upset or start crying.
He knew.
He just looked at me like, you're dead. It totally backfired.
Janina, I would love to ask you a little bit about, this, playing a family like this in a movie like this. We talk a lot about representation, but what did it mean to just, play an all-American family that just happens to look like this and play out this in the way it did?
It's weird because I'm from Illinois. I'm from Joliet, Illinois, man. Like, I grew up in the outside of Chicago, hella regular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you move to Hollywood and people start sort of building an idea of who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be portrayed. So we're just so early in the conversation and the history of representation that it's strange to be in 2021 and have this be progressive. How is this progressive? It's very normal. But, listen, the thing is that we're doing these things now, so these kids have no problem later. And they're like, when they watch this movie, in 20 years, they're going to be like, why did anybody care that this was happening?
And this is something I give you credit for because you've constantly been taking roles where you're not, you're not letting yourself get boxed in like that.
Yeah, you can't exoticize me. Come on. I'm just like.
I like being exotic.
Okay. Well, you can take everything and do it. Do it, lady. Take them. Do it.
No, I'm kidding, but I'm not. I
Octavia, you've been in so many different kinds of movies, but and so many of them are dealing with social commentary in so many different ways. This one has this very interesting mix of a psychological thriller and the sci-fi component as well. But what do you think it sort of lends to the social commentary of 2021? Because it can't distance itself from the year it's coming out in.
Well, it's definitely indicative of the time that we're living right now. How many of us weren't, if you're going to be honest, you've all been as paranoid as Malik with the hand washing and I have a tiny little can of Lysol in my purse right now, what I loved about this movie is that it did all of this genre bending, and it made me realize that even though Malik was an unreliable narrator, in my mind, he was the most reliable because we always put ourselves first and we never take into account another person's journey. And mental health is real. Mental health issues are real. They are painful for the people who are experiencing them. So what Michael was able to do was put us in Malik's body and we experience it at real time. And while it may not have been real for us, it was truly real for him because he wouldn't have done all of that to protect his boys. And that made me realize that I have to work harder at being more empathetic and more compassionate and understanding that everybody's walk in life is completely different, and we have to take that into account.
Yeah. Hard to follow up with that, really, because that is kind of what the core of the film is. Riz, I think for you, what did you feel? Because your character is the one, you're the journey we go on in this film. So, what do you feel your character is able to represent in the year we live in? And I think Octavia may have answered some of this, but yeah, how do you feel like that character and his journey resonates with the world we live in right now?
Yeah, I guess, as someone who's trying to save their family at all costs in an uncertain world, and I think that it's so resonant because, we're on set filming this kind of, sci-fi-esque thriller, and we didn't really have to take much of an imaginative leap because look behind the camera and everyone's wearing a biohazard suit.
Right.
And the sky
The timing is wild.
The sky is dark orange from the California forest fires.
Right.
And it's the middle of the elections that were taking place in 2020, and there's civil unrest everywhere. We need security on set because there's, kind of things kicking off everywhere.
I remember that.
So it's a, I'll come to you one second. So I guess it's just this idea that this isn't science fiction. This is not sci-fi. This is now-fi. This is more grounded and urgent and more reflective of the times we live in than many of the films that are out there right now. And I think it's really admirable and ambitious the way that Michael's managed to do that and give us a social commentary without giving us a film that feels earnest or worthy or preachy, that takes us on a thrill ride that we love to see when we go to the movies, and gives us all those different emotions. So I hope this film, more than anything, represents what movies and going to the movies can be. Right. It's not based on IP. It's an original script. It's super diverse, and it kicks ass. So I'm really proud of this film.
Aditi, I think we're gonna have to wrap this with you. What are your thoughts on this film, and what would you like audiences to take from it? Did I just lump in with it? No.
I want the audience to take that. Yeah, it will be action. It will be thriller. It will be sci-fi. But what it's really about, I hope the audience will take this, but what it's really about is protecting your family and loving them, no matter who they are or what they do.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I also love that all of you are out here on a Friday night watching this movie on a big screen, because it is important to see these things on a big screen if and when you can. And so, and if not, then it is also on Amazon Prime. So thank you all for being here so much.